All right. We're back on.
What's going on?
Not much, man. How's it going?
How you doing, Angel?
We're finally doing a day podcast. It's not during the nighttime.
Yeah, good morning.
Like,
Top of the morning.
top of the morning, man. We're not like weirdos at night.
Yeah.
How you doing, man? How's your day?
No, not too
How's
bad.
your morning, actually?
Morning's pretty good. I didn't get to go on a bike ride like I wanted to this morning. It's been pouring rain, so it is what it is. I'll probably go later on once it settles, but
yeah, like I told you last night, I actually I went on my bike ride actually this morning, and I just love doing that's part of my morning ritual.
yeah.
But man, I tell you what, I went for a couple blocks. I went down the street, and I just started sweating profusely. And it's in the morning at 8 o'clock in the morning is already like 89 degrees.
Oh my
So just
God.
imagine by 12 o'clock,
Yeah.
oh my goodness. I had to like just shower, and I had to just take a quick shower just to take the sweat away from me, because it was just so bad. It's only 8 in the morning. I'm like, what is going on?
80, 90 degrees. So that would be, I think, in degrees Celsius, that's pretty close to like
Yes.
what, 30?
Now don't get it twisted. I'm wearing a
30
cup
above?
set. Like I said, don't get it twisted. I'm wearing a cup set. For whoever's watching this is not Chicago. This is Orlando, Florida. The reason I'm wearing this is because I'm from Chicago, and I'm wearing my Cubs hat because I wish I was watching baseball right now. But
Cubs are great, man. Cubs
are
are great.
great. But unfortunately, everybody knows what's going on, the pandemic. So there's no sports. So yeah, I have a little bit of withdrawal with that. So
I know you gotta still kind of salute and support your team.
yes, sir. Where's that? Where's my logo? World Series. Yes, sir.
World Series, yeah. Cubs are awesome, man. No complaints there.
Yes, sir. But yeah, man. Today's topic is going to be about communication and the importance of it.
Yeah, and how vital it is and how important it is today, and pretty much everything that you do is going to require some form of communication. Whether it's relationships, whether it's business colleagues, whether it's your career negotiations. I mean, all of life is pretty much going to require some good form of healthy communication, and
Right.
And why it's important.
Absolutely.
So
How it's very important because there's just so many aspects that goes into communication and the importance of it.
yeah,
And that goes for everybody, young and old. And especially with today's day and age of technology, and um, where everybody's so used to our cell phones, TV, tablets, you name it, it's all around us. So, and especially right now with the pandemic currently happening, it's just keeping everybody inside. People are kind of like nervous about meeting one on one, even though places are starting to reopen little by little.
yeah.
It's really made a huge change on how our society is communicating with one another, and I really sometimes don't really know how to think about it nowadays, because it's like, where are we headed? I'm looking at it in a positive standpoint, but sometimes, the other person might think something totally different. And why am I saying that?
Yeah.
It's basically because, now with the whole pandemic, people are being scared. So right now we're commuting through Zoom. Like I said, you're in Canada, I'm here in Orlando. So that's I mean, it's not like we could just go for a drive and, hey, Mike, I'm gonna go see you right now. I mean, we're in two different locations.
Two different time zones, yeah.
Two different time zones, right? But now we're getting to the point where we're scared of meeting in places just to talk.
I know.
And it's either through text messaging or talking on the
Digitally.
phone or digitally. So now, the connection between two people is kind of like in limbo. It's where are we headed? What's the next step? You know what I mean? So, I mean, what do you think about that?
I think it's just a matter of just exceeding caution, like don't need necessarily go overboard, exceed the cautions and the right, measures and steps to take, when you are meeting with your friends and loved ones and whatnot. But, I think it's still great to meet up with friends. I think if you want to go for coffee and still have that chat.
Absolutely. Oh man, for sure.
Not like you got to have your tongue down anybody's throat, but,
yeah, man.
wash your hands, do that. But yeah, you should still keep that the communication alive. You should still. I mean, Zoom has obviously been our number one
Oh, it's
communication
been great. Yeah.
based on our distance.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's been like that for a lot of companies and a lot of different organizations when they have their meetings now. They're still keeping that communication open, free, and alive. But yeah, it's still definitely important to kind of keep it alive with your friends and your family. And because I mean, like all of life is really communication. If you
It
don't have
really is.
communication, it's you're not going to really go far, as
Yeah.
far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. And it has to do a lot with mental health too. Like I said, we're not
Yeah,
doctors. We're not professionals in any of that sort when it comes to mental health or prescriptions or anything like that. I just believe that communication is key, man. Communication is key to really express yourself, express about how you're feeling or whatever it is you're dealing with, whatever problems you got to go through or you are going through. It's always good to talk to another person about it, just to clear your mind and just keep
oh,
that human connection going.
definitely.
Um,
It's definitely a good release of the soul. It's definitely a good release of
yeah,
what's kind of going on internally. I mean,
yeah,
depending on your situation, having another ear to listen to kind of hear you out a little bit, whatever the case may be, you always just feel better. You always just kind of like, you kind of need something to kind of vent
yeah,
about, or somebody to kind of talk to. Regardless, I mean,
yeah,
one way is, like through us, it's Zoom, through these podcasts. We talk about some real issues that people can resonate with, and I think that's important. I think that's really a key in life. I mean, like all of life, like I said, is communication. All of life is negotiation. From the time when we were kids to, negotiating with our parents to feed us, negotiating for our parents to change us, to negotiating with our parents to,
that's what's right.
you know
That's
what
what
I
sales
mean?
and everything. You're
Yeah.
every day you're selling something. Every day you're trying to negotiate something. And like you said, you mentioned about, even with kids too, with teenagers as well. I mean, right now
Yeah.
schools are like all over the place right now. Some are open. I'm not saying that each and every one of them are open. Everything is going digital, but
Yeah.
now everything's going to change. Everything is changing. Our lifestyles are changing. The way we're learning is changing. The way we're
Yeah.
communicating is changing. So how are we adapting to it is the question. How are we adapting to it? You know what I mean?
Little by
And
little.
little by little, exactly. And
Yeah.
like I said, even with the concerns with, like I said, with teens or anything like that, that's the problem because they're so accustomed to text messaging. I mean, when was the last time you spoke to a kid on the phone and they were able to talk normally the same way we're talking? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, how are they communicating? I mean,
It's funny because
it's
it's
like
like,
an awkward communication. Not for all, but I'm just saying as an example.
it's funny because like years ago when we used to like say come down for dinner or something like that, like when I go to my parents' place and like my nephew's upstairs, playing video games or something, and like we do something for dinner and it's
Right.
ready. We used to traditionally just like holler at each other, or just like stomp our feet or something like that on the floor to get somebody's attention. But now
Right.
it's
Right.
like
Right.
send
Right.
them a text and be like, "Hey, bud, dinner's ready." I'm just like, oh my gosh, did I actually just do that? Did I actually just send him a text just to let him know that dinner is ready when he's in the same freaking house? Like, oh my god, I'm like, I can't believe I'm doing
You know what's
this.
funny? You know what's funny? It's almost you just think about it. It's like it's almost pathetic. It's like what? Why? Like
Yeah,
why
I
does
was
it
just
even
like,
came
wow,
to
this is a
that point?
silent
Like I'm
house.
texting you, you're right next to me, man.
Yeah.
What? Like did you just why?
Yeah.
I mean, okay, whatever. Maybe I'm old school. Maybe I'm thinking old school, but I'm used to saying, hey, I'm used to saying just talking verbally, like to whatever's going on.
Yeah.
But now it's just like I could be
I'm
sitting
just
right
telling it
here, you
like
could
it
be
is,
right
man.
there, and like for example, like right now we're talking, but
Yeah.
yeah, you're gonna message me something that you don't want to air or you don't want to say, and I'm like, oh, okay.
By the way, this is off the record. Yeah.
This, yeah, by the work, yeah, exactly. This is a little bit awkward, like,
Off the record.
uh, um, but yeah, that is so true. That is so funny you mentioned that because, um, I'm at work and and I'm, whatever, I'm doing my job and I'm doing what I need to do, get, doing my stuff on my desk, and people are texting me like, you're sitting right across from me. Why are you texting me?
Oh,
Just
so you guys
tell
do
me.
that at work too? That's funny.
Yeah,
That's
like,
funny.
why are you texting me? Just tell me.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
right
I know
here.
it's funny because we'll do that in meetings too. Like at my sales job there, we would like in meetings when we or a conference call, like we would even just like sit there and message each other and just say some funny shit across, and all of a sudden you can just like hear in the middle of the meeting, like me start laughing or like the other person start laughing. And it's just like, it would just kind of trickle down the whole meeting and be like, what are you guys laughing at?
Oh my God.
And I'd be
I
like, just
mean,
looking at my phone, I'd be like, nothing. Sorry, never
yeah,
mind.
exactly.
So
And
it's kind of funny.
oh yeah, it absolutely is. And it's just crazy how things are nowadays. But um in a serious standpoint, I mean, the importance of communication, I just really enjoy that. I just really enjoy this topic because I just think that some people, I'm not saying all, I'm just saying some forget the importance of it.
I think it's lacking in a lot of today's society, no doubt. It's definitely something that you kind of need to kind of maintain, either work on or kind of just not forget. And I think in a lot of today's society, it has been forgotten. It has been forgotten with a lot of our youth, and I think maybe that comes with a lot of the technology background now that they are kind of adapted into or just kind of brought into.
Yeah.
And like you walk around today and you can see anywhere on the streets and there's kids like on their phones just head down navigating around, just walking around. They don't really talk as much. They don't really communicate as much.
Yeah.
They don't really have conversations as much. They don't have,
The
communicating.
communication skills, they
Hey,
don't
how
know
are
how to
you? How's
carry on
your
a
day?
conversation.
Yeah,
It's always small talk.
the
It's never.
conversation. Yeah, and they're kind of timid when you ask them a question or talk to
Yeah.
them about something, and,
Right, right,
and
right.
it's just like, oh my gosh, like
And it makes people wonder why we look down on them, why we can't communicate with them, why we bad talk them. And I'm not saying everybody's bad. I mean, there are good people out there. There are great people out there. There are great teenagers out there. There are great kids out there.
well, they
But
wonder why they're not.
we forget to think that because we just automatically want to think that we can't talk to them anymore. They're just
Well,
always
that's
on the
just
phone
it. Because I mean, they're very
because they're hiding.
preoccupied with
Right, they're hiding behind their phone.
Snapchat and all that other stuff, and then there's so many others like social media. I don't use Snapchat. I don't think I ever will use Snapchat. I just don't see a need for it. It's not really my jam. I just don't see a need. I think it's personally a total waste of time for myself anyway. But just because I mean I'm busy, I've got a whole other social media platforms that I use for business marketing, all that stuff, and content that I think is going to be relevant for people. I just don't see things like Snapchat useful for me, where it's just
Right.
pictures and filters and whatnot. It's just not
It's not. It's
just a
not.
way. It's a
It's not
time waster.
targeted towards you type of thing. Like you don't feel like
Yeah,
that's.
it's
It's
time
gonna
that
benefit.
yeah, it's not really benefiting me. It's not really benefiting people that are following and unless I'm going to use it for content, but I haven't played around with it yet. But I just don't really have any time for filters and pictures and things like that. It's just
Right.
time I'm not going to get back. But I think with a lot of the youth too, and I've heard from like former employers that they've interviewed people who lack communication, and they just and they wonder kind of why they're failing on their interviews is because they're not getting that communication skills that they should, and just actually talking to people, having regular conversations without kind of
The
you know tucking
absolutely.
their head down and being all timid about it, like when they get
Right.
kind of put in a spot where they're just being kind of forced to step out of their comfort zone and
Right.
communicate. And I've had former bosses who've told me, they're like, yeah, unfortunately, we don't like to really hire millennials because I've interviewed them and they're terrible. Unfortunately, not all, but the vast majority of them. She like, I'm just thinking of one of my old bosses. Yeah, and she was just like, yeah, you know what? I've tried having an open conversation with many of them, and they just bombed their interviews. They're like
Right.
they just have no communication skills, unfortunately.
The problem with that is that going on to what you were saying is that it really has to go with trust.
It does,
Trust,
yeah.
trust and the basically, like having that when it comes to interviews or when it comes to recruiters, it's all about that, first response, that first impression,
Yeah.
lack for a better word, that what people forget. And that's why you always got to dress up. You always want to look presentable. You always
Yeah.
want to you always want to keep eye contact with that person.
You always want to
Very
be
important, because you
prepared.
want to make sure that I'm talking to that person right now, the way I'm
Yeah.
speaking to you at this moment. And if I'm talking to you, I'm listening to you. I'm
Yeah.
listening and I'm processing in my mind what's saying next, or I'm processing what you're saying.
Yeah.
And then we can have a debate, or we can have a legitimate conversation about the certain topic that we're talking about. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like that's just the basics. That's just the basics of
Yeah.
communication. And that's the beauty of it. It's almost an art. If you really think about it, it's almost an art, because you're visualizing so many things in your head. Whatever
Yeah.
you're saying, I'm visualizing in my head. I'm thinking about my past. I'm thinking about what can happen. I'm thinking about what's going to happen next. I'm thinking about so many
Yeah.
things. So it's kind of like, I kind of look at it as an art form type of thing. It's a talent.
Yeah.
You got to have that. You got to have that communication skills. I mean, you have to have those communication skills to adapt, to develop,
Yeah.
to make yourself look better, to put yourself
Yeah.
out there. You know what I mean?
It's really actively listening to that other person too. And being prepared, depending on your situation. Like I'm thinking, I'm still kind of on the thought of the job interview thing,
Right.
and he's kind of being prepared, because it's kind of like the Lao Tzu quote. Success without prior preparation, there is sure to be failure. Lao Tzu said that. So, when you're kind of preparing for things like that, your communication needs to be strong. Obviously, you need to really kind of listen, just as well as you can kind of communicate and speak as well. So you really need to kind of actively listen and really kind of take in and meet each other's needs as far as communication with the conversations kind of go on, right? It's huge. It's so vital in everything that we do. Because I mean, let's face it, like you meet somebody the first time, that first minute, what's kind of that you can kind of tell within that first 5 minutes.
First impression. Right.
First impression, right?
Right.
That's going
You
to be
know,
the vital
especially,
communication link to whether you're going to be open and understood, or you're going to be judged, and that's your first impression.
right. And as far as coaching, and you're coaching your clients, when you're dealing with them, like what is that first thought that comes to your head? Like, especially, for example, if they were to have an issue, do you judge them?
I don't
Do
judge any of
you
them.
Right, you don't.
Yeah.
That's the premises of it. You don't want to judge
Yeah.
them. But what I'm saying is that sometimes people can judge a lot of what they say,
Yeah.
or whatever they want to help with. And that's the point of coaching. Like, it's not about judgment.
Exactly.
It's all about helping. Oh, the reason I'm saying is because some people will judge,
I listen
and
to the point
that's the
where,
scary part for some. That's the
yeah,
scary part for some.
I think it's crucial to
For the
really
very
kind of
few.
listen. It's really crucial to really listen, so you can understand them more than getting your point across. Or some people judge, and I think that kind of takes away
Yeah,
from the communication. I think that really takes away from what they're trying to tell you, what's going on, how you can kind of help them so you can understand better. That's where listening really kind of comes in, and really listening to something that maybe you can resonate with, so you can kind of better understand and help them. So,
absolutely.
yeah.
And like the same thing with me. I don't judge whatsoever. I mean, if you want, I want to hear your story,
Yeah, exactly.
because I'm no different from anybody else. You know what I mean? We're just normal guys that we just like to help people.
Yeah.
We like to give back. So there's no judgment, because guess what? I'm not.
Yeah, what about you?
I did not have an innocent background. I'll tell you that much. I'm not perfect.
Nope, me
I
neither.
am not perfect. Yeah, I've succeeded in the things that I wanted to do, but guess what? I've also had bad times. I've also went through turmoil. I've also struggled as an individual.
Everything was meant to happen the way it did, and it was meant to shape you, shape me,
Right.
shape whoever is listening to becoming the person you are supposed to be. Now, it might not necessarily seem like that at the time of the transition or the pain, but it's always kind of meant to kind of steer you and shape you into the person you are meant to be.
Right.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah,
And like I said, and whoever's listening to this is, like I said, communication is key, and it's not, we're a judgment-free zone.
absolutely.
If you want to share it that way, you want to put it that
I
way,
like
we're a
that. Yeah.
judgment-free zone because
This is a
I
judgment
can't
free
talk.
zone.
I've been through my crap,
Yeah.
and you've been through your straw. You've been through your story. I mean, you share your
Oh
stories with
yeah.
me all the time, and we vent to each other, and I tell you what's going on with me. You tell me what's going on with you, and
Yeah.
we give each other advice. So like, hey man, do this, do that,
Yeah.
that type of thing.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. But
Yeah.
yeah, man. But yeah, good talk today.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got some cool stuff coming up. We got some cool things happening pretty soon. We have a few guests that are interested in coming up, getting into the podcast with these two cool guys, and
Yeah.
hopefully we can get them on soon and see what's gonna happen with that. So everybody, stay tuned for that. Whoever wants to follow, whoever's following, we appreciate you. So
Yeah. Yeah. You can leave a comment below or leave a question or kind of tell us exactly what sort of experience you've had with your, communication and how that's kind of working out for you and in whatever area of your life. I mean, we'd certainly love to hear from you. So, and
exactly.
yeah, I'm looking forward to having these guests on the next couple of weeks to have a pretty good discussion with them too. And
Yeah,
yeah,
for sure. And we're gonna leave like a poll, or we're gonna leave like a questionnaire to get some insights on, like, if we love to hear from you. If you guys comment, we greatly appreciate that. And any topics that you think that we will want to talk about, we'll be glad to talk about it. And hopefully you can give us some insight on how we're doing, or uh, basically just let us know on what type of topics we should even talk about. So looking forward to that.
exactly.
All right. All right, man. We'll leave it there, and we'll talk soon. All right.
All right. Sounds good, man.
All right, brother. Take it easy.
Okay. Peace. Talk to you later.
Later.